The sun was beginning to dip beneath the horizon, casting an orange glow over the quiet city streets. The evening was calm, save for the distant hum of traffic and the occasional chirp of crickets. Among the abandoned alleys and forgotten corners of the world, something small and fragile lay hidden in a darkened trash can. Its tiny, shaking body was barely visible under layers of discarded food wrappers, plastic bags and broken bottles. But the little creature was alive. A puppy no more than a few weeks old, had been cruelly discarded, left to face the cold night alone. The world around it was unforgiving. The puppy shivered, its ribs clearly visible beneath its thin fur, as if every breath it took was a struggle. Its eyes, wide with confusion and fear, darted around, unable to understand why it had been abandoned in such a harsh place. The pungent smell of the garbage around it was overwhelming, but the puppy didn't have the strength to move. It whimpered softly, its tiny body trembling in the cold, hoping for some sign of kindness, some shred of hope. Hours passed. The darkness of night deepened, and the alley grew eerily silent. The trash can offered no comfort, only more cold and emptiness. But then, from the shadows, a pair of footsteps approached. A young woman, her face filled with concern, stopped near the trash can. Her heart sank when she heard the faint sound of a whimper. She crouched down, her eyes scanning the area. Her breath caught in her throat as she saw the puppy, curled up and covered in filth, barely moving. She could barely believe what she was seeing. How could anyone be so heartless? Without hesitation, she reached down and gently scooped the fragile little puppy into her arms. It was so small, so light, like holding a living piece of hope. The puppy's body was cold, its fur matted with dirt and debris. But its eyes, those eyes that had known nothing but abandonment, looked up at her, filled with both fear and trust. The woman didn't think twice. She wrapped the puppy in her jacket and rushed home, her mind racing. What had happened to this poor little soul? How could anyone be so cruel? But in that moment, none of that mattered. All that mattered was saving this tiny life. Once home, she carefully placed the puppy in a warm, cozy bed she had set up. She went straight to work, gathering towels, a warm bottle of water, and whatever else she could find to nurse the puppy back to health. She cleaned the little creature gently, trying to erase the physical signs of the trauma it had endured. The puppy, though weak, allowed her to work as though it had no choice but to trust the kindness being shown to it. As the night wore on, the puppy's breathing steadied. Slowly but surely it began to relax. The warmth of the room and the care it was receiving were working wonders. The woman sat by its side, watching as the puppy's eyes fluttered closed in sleep, the first peaceful rest it had known since that fateful day it had been abandoned. The following days were a blur of care and tenderness. The puppy, who she named Charlie, began to gain strength. His ribs were no longer so visible, his coat started to regain its soft texture, and he even began to wag his little tail whenever the woman entered the room. But it was the moments of play that truly touched her heart. Charlie's first tentative steps were followed by joyful bounds across the floor. Every time he made a new discovery, whether it was a squeaky toy, a ball, or the sound of his own bark, he greeted it with a mixture of curiosity and pure, unadulterated joy. But there were also signs of trauma that wouldn't be as easily healed. At times, when the woman would raise her hand to pet him, Charlie would flinch. His eyes would widen with fear, and he would shy away as though bracing himself for something terrible. The woman's heart would ache every time this happened. It was a reminder that, though he had been rescued from the trash can, there were emotional wounds that ran much deeper. Despite these moments, the bond between them grew stronger every day. The woman made sure to approach Charlie with the utmost care, never forcing him into anything he wasn't ready for. She allowed him to come to her, offering reassurance with every touch, every kind word. Weeks went by, and Charlie blossomed in the love and care he received. He became more confident, more playful. He was no longer the frightened little puppy he had once been, hiding from the world and trembling in fear. Now he was a joyful bundle of energy, his eyes shining with trust and affection. But as much as the woman loved Charlie, she knew that he needed something more than just food, warmth, and shelter. He needed the love of a family, the companionship of other dogs. And so, after much thought and hesitation, she decided it was time to find Charlie a forever home. The day she took Charlie to the animal rescue center, her heart felt heavy. She had gotten so attached to him, but she knew that this was the right thing to do. The rescue center would be able to find him a loving family, a family that could offer him the companionship he deserved. When they arrived, Charlie's little tail wagged excitedly. He had no idea what was happening, but his excitement was contagious. The woman gently placed him in a pen, watching as he curiously explored his new surroundings. She spoke softly to him one last time, telling him how proud she was of him, how much she loved him, and how she knew he was going to make someone very happy. Tears welled up in her eyes as she said goodbye, knowing that letting go was the hardest part of this journey. But the moment she stepped away, Charlie's attention was captured by a couple who had just arrived. They knelt down to his level, offering him treats and soft words. Charlie responded instantly, wagging his tail and nuzzling their hands. It was clear to the woman that Charlie had found his new family, and in that moment, a sense of peace washed over her. She had given him a second chance, and now he was going to have the life he deserved. Months later, the woman received an update. Charlie had settled into his new home. He had a new brother, a playful golden retriever, and he was thriving. He had been to the vet for a checkup, and the vet confirmed that he was healthy, happy, and well-adjusted. Charlie had become a beloved member of his new family, and every day was filled with love and laughter. The woman smiled through her tears as she read the update. Charlie had a second chance at life, and in doing so he had given her something as well. A reminder of the power of compassion, of how a small act of kindness can change the course of a life forever. Charlie had been discarded like trash, left to fend for himself in a world that seemed indifferent to his pain. But thanks to one person's willingness to act, to offer him a second chance, he had found love, healing, and hope. And that was a gift worth more than words could ever express. In the end, Charlie's journey was a testament to the resilience of the spirit, the power of kindness, and the undeniable truth that no one, no matter how small or broken, should ever be forgotten. As for the woman, she knew that every tear, every moment of worry, and every sacrifice had been worth it. For Charlie had become more than just a rescued puppy. He had become a symbol of hope, a reminder that even the smallest souls deserve to be loved. And as she watched Charlie run happily in the yard of his new home, his tail wagging furiously, she realized that sometimes, second chances are all we need to transform our lives.